From the New York Times, goodbye MSNBC, hello MS Now. The cable news network is changing its name this year because a corporate spinoff is separating MSNBC from its cousin NBC News. For 3 decades, news and progressive opinion on the cable dial has been defined by 5 capital letters, MSNBC. By the end of this year, a couple of those letters are changing. That's not actually true, because right after 9/11, I watched MSNBC all the time, and Joe Scarborough was still a conservative. He was still a Republican. He had a nighttime show. Dan Abrams had a nighttime show. They had some variety in their opinions. And then when Morning Joe started, when they first got on air, for the first probably 5 years, Joe was still a conservative. This is probably before he started banging Mika, to be honest with you.
His handler.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh. CIA.
She started saying, no, you can't have these opinions, Joe, if you want to actually...
Yeah, it was that good? Okay.
Well, I mean, her father was Zbigniew Brzezinski, the guy that was from the Council on Foreign Relations.
Wanted to help fund Pol Pot.
Did he?
Through Carter.
Oh, God. Wow. Garbage.
Yep.
Garbage people. But yeah, so anyways, as part of a corporate spinoff from Comcast, MSNBC is changing its name to My Source News Opinion World, or MS Now for short. The name is meant to reflect the channel's mission to provide breaking news and best-in-class opinion journalism, Rebecca Cutler said, MSNBC president said in a memo to employees on Monday. I want to acknowledge that for many years, you who have spent years or decades here, it's hard to imagine the network by any other name. Ms. Cutler said, this was not a decision that was made quickly or without significant debate. Most of the cable channels that were part of Comcast's NBC Universal TV empire are being spun out this year into a new company called Verisant. The spinoff will require the new company to stop using the NBC brand and its signature Peacock, which are both staying with Comcast, said Mark Lazarus, chief executive of Verisant. This gives us the opportunity to chart our own path forward, create distinct brand identities, and establish an independent news organization following the spin, Mr. Lazarus said in a memo to employees. CNBC will retain its initials, which stand for Consumer News and Business Channel, but will be accompanied by a new logo without the peacock when the separation is complete, which is expected by the end of the year. Adam Miller, the chief operating officer at NBC Universal, said in a memo to employees on Monday that the change would help avoid confusion between viewers of NBC News and MSNBC as the two channels cover the same news events. Since the split was announced a few months ago, MSNBC has gone on a hiring spree, adding at least 36 journalists as the organization prepares to separate itself from the sizable news-gathering prowess of NBC News, its longtime corporate cousin. This is not going to substantially change what MS Now is, right? This is going to be the same progressive drivel. It's going to be the same company that's been getting terrible ratings for the past 5 years at least. I mean, the Democrat Party has been in free fall forever when it comes to, the brand or whatever. So I don't see how this is anything more than what they have to do because of the spinoff. This is not going to help their ratings or anything. I mean, what's your sense, Chris?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I mean, I feel like I'm listening to like a news release from 20 years ago. Like this is like a kind of a rare insight into the perverted mind of corporate culture. It's all about mergers and demergers and branding. Oh, the branding. It's really pathetic, and it's not going to impact their ratings at all, especially not positively, I don't think.
And NBC has slowly but surely, we've all noticed, I'm sure, turned into even worse than MSNBC with their lies and their whole progressive format. So it's like they said, MSNBC and NBC are basically the same news station.
Sure.
So they're going to get rid of one and keep the one that has more of a longevity name. NBC's been around forever compared to MSNBC.
Do you think at one point they had MSNWO? and someone was actually like, we can't do the mask off. Not yet.
But at least that makes a little bit of sense. Like, it's a cool name. What does this one stand for?
News, opinion, and world.
Yeah, news, opinion.
It doesn't sound good.
Words. It sounds horrible.
NWO sounds better, but they couldn't.
Yeah,
MS Now.
Yeah, MS Now. It sounds like Democracy Now, which is another.
Which would be perfect. That's in line with the branding.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to do.
Exactly.
Dude, and they're getting rid of the Golf Channel and E! And Oxygen and USA Network.
Not E!
Remember USA Network used to have decent shows back in the...
Once upon a time.
Used to.
Yeah.
Used to. The keyword is used to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all they're really doing is slapping a fresh coat of paint on the same title project. You know, it's like, you know, this is still the channel of people like Joy Reid. You know, this is still. I mean, they fired her, but her imprint's still there. You know, this is still the channel where, you know, it's basically just turned into a propaganda wing of the Democrat Party. People are not going to turn in and watch it now when it's just, you know, Trump is bad 24 hours a day. This is why, like, I don't know anyone who watches The View. You know, when you turn into just Trump is bad, but the majority of the country voted for him, and more people are leaning towards the right now because the left has gone so crazy, it's the same thing. And if you're all you're doing when you rebrand it is now just saying, okay, we're gonna make it look a little different, but it's going to be the same thing. And they might get a slight bump for like the first day or two, or maybe the first week, but it's not going to last past that.
Aren't they very racist too? Like MSNBC is they're more or less progressive. They're more racist progressive.
They're steeped in critical race
theory,
and critical race theory makes people racist. I mean, if your focus is race, if that's the first aspect that you see when you see another person is it's just, well, they're race, so I make all these assumptions that go along with it. That's boilerplate racism, and yes, they're full of incredibly racist people. If that, you know, unless you ascribe to their definition of racism, which is just the definition that makes it okay for them to be racist, is essentially.
Listen, I get called a racist almost every day against black people, which I'm like, listen, like, please, no one tell my family, they're going to be pissed, you know. So. But I mean, don't they still have Al Sharpton who does commentary?
Yep,
is he still there?
If I understand correctly.
So I mean, you know, he's about down to about 115 pounds now, and about 50 pounds that is in his head because that weight's
He
not
doesn't look
anywhere.
right. Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, all they're doing is slapping fresh coat of paint. It's not going to do anything for them, and they're going to keep continuing to spiral down until they actually change their content and actually do something different.
Yeah.
Do you think that the progressives in the U.S., and when I say the progressives, I mean people that share their opinions, do you think that they would move on their opinions? Because I really do think the thought leaders on the left, right? So the people that aren't just, you know, regurgitating what they've heard in school or regurgitating what they've heard on the news, the people that are actually, you know, thinking about these ideas and trying to come up with where, you know, what actually does progressive mean and stuff. Do you think that those people are going to change in response to the solid rejection that the country's kind of, you know, decided to give them? Or do you think that they're going to just try and repackage?
I think they're going to dig their heels in and say, no, you're all wrong. I'm right. Because that's what's happening in all these liberal capitals. You look at what's happening in California. You look at what's happening in New York City. You look at what's happening, like, you know, Jasmine Crockett, of all people. You know, how many times can you be told you're wrong or proven wrong, or even your own party rejects you, and you're still like, but I'm right. But I'm going to keep doing this. But I'm right. So I think they're just going to dig their heels in, say, I'm right, I'm correct, and watch everything crumble around them, and then try to figure out why it's gotten this bad. Like, I mean, I spoke to someone the other day, and I showed him the graph that Elon Musk put up one time, where he said, you know, I'm right here, and it used to be this is where like the middle was, and then the middle kept going further and further and further to the right. And the left kept going further and further out and more extreme. And he said, well, no, you have to change yourself now to be more towards the middle. And I said, you know, well, why do you have to change what you believe in order to appease the middle? Yeah. You know, if you are who you are and your beliefs have never changed, and now you're seen as a right-wing extremist because you have beliefs that 20 years ago were considered more towards the middle, why should you change? And he's like, no, but you have to change. You have to. So this is where these people are. It's a warped way of thinking. It doesn't make sense to anyone who just thinks logically, but this is what the left has become.
Sounds like you have to appease the group. If
you have to appease the group.
If you don't appease the group, then you're bad, then you're right wing. If you don't follow them down their trail of lemmings off the cliff, then you're definitely going to be, you know, considered right wing.
You have to continue to appease the group. So if someone comes to you and says, well, my pronouns are they, them, now you can't just say, oh, I was talking to him earlier. You have to say, oh, I was talking to them earlier. Mm-hmm. And normal rational people are going, okay, them who? Like, I only see one person. Oh no, he's non-binary. You know, but this is what you have to be. Or if you're a furry, and you believe that you truly believe in your heart, oh, I'm a cat. You know, you have, okay, well, you know, I'll put the litter box out for you. You know, no one look as he's pooping in the litter box as we're all trying to eat. You know, it turns into one of those things.
And that's why we call them a cult, right, brother?
Yeah, they are a cult. Corporate won't allow them to change their minds, even if they probably feel differently inside. Because you see, like, independent leftists, someone like an Anna Kasparian has been able to say things against the monolith that gets her in trouble with her base, but she feels comfortable doing that because she believes that in her heart she's seen in LA the crime and how it's changed, you know, and how things like defund the police was a bad decision. But I don't think they can go out and say we've changed our minds on a corporate platform like this. If they do, that would be shocking.
Mm-hmm. So it's your sense that when you say corporate, do you mean that the major direction of the left is from corporations?
A lot of it, yeah. I mean, like corporate outlets, like an NBC, like a Microsoft, like those places that are funded would have the big pharma commercials, ad breaks, and stuff like that.
So you don't think that, because it's my sense that most of the direction of the left is really coming from people like, or it comes from basically academia, right? So people like bell hooks, people like. I'm not sure who's actually active nowadays, but it was like your postmodernists, your leftists, your Foucaults, your you know, and those kind of thinkers. So is it your sense that they don't shape the opinions of the left, or is it your opinion that people in corporate America hear that and they say this is what we should do because that's what they believe, or do you think that this is what we should do because this is what we think people will purchase?
It's the latter. Corporate America bends the knee to fear. Like they are dictated by what they think the people will riot over. But I think the left is fractured, so it's hard to say one group is inspiring the left over another, just like the right is fractured. You see MAGA types and you see Lindsey Graham types. You know, it's hard to see, you know, who exactly, there's not one thing influencing them all. But the left is more of a monolith. I do believe that. But, you know, watching people like On the Young Turks have conversations with people on the right, I don't think you'll see that, at least in a long format context, out of a MS Now, or, you know, especially on the View, where it's all just sound bites and they want to attack you. Whereas more independent minded people who who definitely still hold leftist beliefs, they're willing to talk it out.
Well, Kasparian in particular, like, and I think she's hilarious, but her in particular, like, she literally like had an interaction with reality.
Yeah,
her ideology bumped into reality, and she was forced to change what she thought because she started saying, "Wait a minute, this isn't. It's not true." I mean, there's a clip that's pretty famous of her talking about some murders that were happening on Long Island. And when she heard the story, she's like, this can't be true. And then she goes, "It's true, guys. It was real. It's real." You know, and she's like, I was just gonna blow it off, but then, because the left really can't be trusted. And so people that have trusted the left for a long time, and Rittenhouse is another perfect example. Yeah. There are tons of people on the left that would swear up and down that Rittenhouse was there to kill black people, and he did kill black people. It's like, bro, he killed two white guys that attacked him, and they would swear up and down that, no, that's not what happened. Even to the point where if you show them evidence, they kind of still don't believe it. I think that Cenk is actually one of those guys. Like, he saw it and he's still like, well, he was wrong for going there, et cetera, et cetera.
They're allergic to it. I do also want to say someone like Anna is rare on the left. Like, I think a lot of them will sacrifice themselves into danger, you know, if it conflicts with their worldview. Like during the George Floyd riots, like I was living right near Newburgh in New York, and there were people who were having their windows smashed. You know, it was crazy rioting, and the next day they put up boards on their storefront window saying, we forgive you. You know, like, they don't care about their own personal safety, you know, at least not outwardly, you know, so they are willing to sacrifice themselves for their ideology. And that seems to be more prevalent than someone like Anna Kasparian, who's willing to confront reality and publicly say, I've changed my mind.
Wasn't there a study done once where they said that for you to give up your belief, like it's actually like painful it's physically painful to yourself, like for you to admit that you're wrong.
Yeah.
So for someone that thinks that Kyle Rittenhouse, I'm sorry. No. So for someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, where they were like, this is white supremacy. I think my wife's cousin put up like a post on Facebook, after the whole thing happened where he was not guilty. And she goes, this is white supremacy at play right here.
Right.
And it was like, okay, this is a white guy who shot 3 other white people.
Right. In self-defense.
How is this, in the grandest definition of self-defense there could be,
Right.
please explain to me how this is white supremacy. And she was like, well, it just is. Like, okay.
And it's the craziest
you got me. Okay.
You could show some of these people the footage and they'd still walk away with that belief that they initially held.
Yeah.
Like you could show them the very fine people on both sides, full context. You show them Rittenhouse, all these different things, and they still have a hard time changing. We had someone on the show this year. We were talking, I forget what it was. It was very fine people, and she couldn't even still wrap her head around it. And Snopes of all places said it was fake.
One of my friends, a good buddy of mine that I've been friends with for years and years, he's pretty left. And when it comes to the Donald Trump very fine people thing, I'm like, look, man, look. And he's like, well, he was still there. There were Nazis there. So I'm like, bro, he specifically said no. And like when it came to like that whole thing, like the Nazis were not openly Nazis before the actual like thing, like they were like kind of keeping it on the down low. But yeah, was just like, look, man, he was there and Nazis were there, so it doesn't matter.
The problem is that these people, they need to have genuine character, and in order to have genuine character, you have to admit that you were lied to, that you believe the lie without thinking about it critically, and that you promulgated it. Mm-hmm. And most people don't have the character to actually fess up to that kind of thing. It doesn't matter if you prove it to them or not. They're just not going to go for it.
Yeah.
And
well, look at the whole party switch argument from the left. Mm-hmm. Like I keep asking, do you really believe that Republicans got together with Democrats and just kind of went, okay, like we're going to reverse this, right? Okay, cool. Somebody just threw out the Uno reverse card and said, okay, from now on, this is how we're going to do this. It's been disproven over and over again, but they still hold on to that. Like I get in arguments almost every other day with someone who's like, well, the party switched. Even though the KKK was started out as the enforcement wing of the Democrat Party, the party switched. When and who switched?
Yep.
And then they're like, well, just Google it. No, you Google it. You said it.
Right.
So
Google's not going to give you the answer anyway.
Yeah.
But they can. These days, you can go up and get online and get anything to confirm your bias. So we know is to be true. We believe in objective truth. I think most of us in this room. But they think they believe in objective truth, and they go to something like Google, and they can just find whatever website they can find to confirm that bias, and then that's the gospel to them, and that's it.
And there's no such thing as a Nazi in today's world. Like that's blatantly false. There might be neo-Nazis, but like Germany from 1930s and 40s is done. It's could put people.
Sounds like Raymond's not listening to Inverted World Live. We have the Fourth Reich on Mars right now and below Antarctica.
That was a wild episode.
And Hitler's alive. So
I am shocked that he did not have a heart attack on the show. Sweating. Bro, he was.
I had this dude calling who says he's from the Fourth Reich, and the Fourth Reich is cool with Jews now, and they have a base beneath Antarctica. I don't want to get this show out of control, but they are alive. So I'll get you there. I'll get you there.
I've got. If there's ever a reason now to visit Antarctica, I gotta see this.
You gotta get special permission from Trump first.
Yeah,
can't go there. They'll arrest you.
Well, you got to go in the winter here because it's summertime down there.
Aren't there the Dark Side of the Moon Nazi bases still, like old ones?
Do you really want to go down there?
No, I don't.
I think they're below the moon, but the Chinese are on the dark side of the moon.
When you get done, call.
I'll call in.
I'll
call in.
I'll hook you up.
I'll call in on our after show here.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.